Okay, so fancy term for this one, weapons of fats destruction. So basically what we're going to look at is just different tools that you can use to combat weight creep, okay? So what we want to think about first of all is, well, accountability, focus, and discipline, right? So if you pay attention to what you're eating, recognize that what you're eating is going to affect your weight in the long term, and just have a little bit of discipline to make informed choices, okay? So this might be a case of sort of working out when you're actually eating for hunger and when you're eating just because it's a habit that you've gotten into. So if you really pay attention to what you're eating and just write down each thing, silly little things that make a difference here, I find, is take one forkful and just chew slowly until that's all gone. And then take a moment and think, do you want another forkful? So personally, I run around a lot, I train a lot, and if I'm not paying attention, I just wolf, right? I don't even think about it. I'll throw down 2-3 plates of dinner without batting an eyelid. So I found that when I slowed down, I felt a lot better, and my system worked a lot better. Okay, so that's the sort of mental state, the mindset that you have towards your food. That's gonna make the biggest difference probably. Number 2 then, portion control. So having a look at how much food is actually on your plate, really, and then comparing that to, you know, what we actually need. And we'll discuss the macros as we go along. And a handy reference size is sort of a fist-sized amount in and around the 200 gram mark. Now, that varies. So there's lots of different ways to portion control. You can prepare your meals in advance. That's a very handy way of doing it, but not always the most convenient for everyone depending on their lifestyle. You could also weigh the food as you prepare it. You could weigh it as you cook it, or after you cooked it, and you could weigh it as you serve it. So there's different methods that you can use for portion control. But in general, just keeping an eye on how much you're putting on, and you know, not going back for seconds and thirds, just making the right portion size to begin with, okay? The next thing we're going to talk about then is intermittent fasting, and I will go through each of these individually over the next few weeks. So intermittent fasting is where I say, right, I don't eat between 8 and 8, all right? Or any equivalent thereof. You pick a time that you're just not going to eat anything after that time, and that's basically it. So the watch points for intermittent fasting is that, again, it can affect your mood, it can affect your energy levels, so be a little bit careful with that. Another way to do intermittent fasting is to say that, right, in the nighttime, I'm only going to have, say, fat-free yogurt and some grapes or something, right? So you pick something that's very low calorie, that's going to give your stomach, you know, a feeling of fullness, and you have it with a pint of water, and that's going to get you through that time, make it so that you don't feel hungry as such, okay? And another way of looking at the intermittent fasting is, what works really well for me is that I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I restrict my diet, okay? Friday, I go all out, except I don't do carbs with my meal on Friday. So I have like a big steak or something like that. But I won't have chips or potatoes or anything like that with it, okay? And then I like my beer and peanuts or crisps or whatever it may be on the Friday evening. So what I do is I calorie restrict during the week, and then I can have what I enjoy at the weekend, okay? So it's all about just getting that balance and figuring out what works for you. I know some people do really, really well on the same thing every day, and some people, they like to have light days and heavy days. Some people won't eat after a certain time, and all of these are valid methods. It's finding the one that suits you best, okay? The last thing then is substitutions. And again, I will talk about this in more detail over time. I'm just trying to give you an introduction here. So a substitution would be where we take something like mayonnaise. So mayonnaise is a high fat content food. So we could substitute mayonnaise for 0 calorie mayonnaise, if you don't mind the taste. So we can do that with all things, all right? We can use, you know, sweeteners instead of sugar in our tea. Some people don't like sweeteners, some people don't like sugar, but you can't argue that there are less calories in a sweetener than there are in the sugar. So we substitute higher calorie items, get substituted with lower calorie items, okay? So these are some of the methods that we can use, and these are the methods that we're going to be exploring over the next 6 weeks with this group. And I'll talk more about macros and all the rest of it in the next coming videos. Cheers, guys.